Hi, it's Jill Tisbury here at Fired Glass again, and today we're going to talk about cutting large circles. Really useful because you can create some beautiful pieces like this. This is obviously done with two large circles, the larger one for the outside and then a smaller one for the moon. So let's have a look at how we cut those circles to perfection, eh? So let's have a look at the tools that we've got. I want to cut one large circle, and I'm going to be doing a similar project in another video to the one that you've seen. But I want to take the time out just to talk about these things. So these are large circle cutters. This one is a Silberschmidt cutter, and it cuts from 7 centimetres right up to 61 centimetres, which is a huge diameter circle really, so you need to make sure you've got a good sized kiln for that to fit in. The reason I've got two of these, this one is a Silberschmidt, this one is a cheapy version from that ubiquitous sells everything website, and it's a lot cheaper, and I have to say it's terrible when it cuts. So it's false economy, but I thought I'd keep hold of it to show people, which I do when they come on workshops. This actually looks identical to a Silberschmidt, but you get what you pay for. This moves, and you end up, the amount of times I've tried to cut a circle with it, and you end up with this head moving. You can probably see it's all plastic, and it doesn't work particularly well. So just be warned, some of them probably work perfectly, but that one certainly doesn't. Right, so this is the one that we're going to use as a suction cup on the end here, and this suction cup, if I move that so that we can see that with this camera, you can see it's got grooves on all 4 sort of points of the compass there. Now those grooves, really useful because if you look at my glass, a piece of glass I've got here is 25 centimetres square, and I have just put across the centre of that. So to actually position this, I can pop that on there and line up my lines with the square, and then push that down to suction that to the glass. So it's very, very easy to position. Now the other thing I want to show you, if we get to this camera here, you can probably see there's a scale on here. Hopefully you can pick that up, and that will be the radius, obviously, from the centre to your cutting head of your glass. So because this is 25 centimetres, I am going to cut a piece of glass. Now if you look at that, it says 20 there, and it says 4 here, so I want it 24 centimetres. I want to leave a little bit of a gap. That has to be this side of that head. So I'm just going to tighten that up. I'm not sure that you've caught that, hopefully you have, but you can probably just about see there if I hold that steady. I'm going to position this on here. So just make sure that this is lined up. So I want these two lined up with that first line, and those lined up with there. Just press that down and just snap that into place. So that's not going to go anywhere. My cutting head, you can probably see if I twist that round so you can just about see that, is here. So again, if you haven't seen one of our other videos, I'll just repeat what I said. Normally my cutters, I don't bother putting oil in because oil goes everywhere, because as soon as you press the head on them it all runs out. So I don't bother putting oil in these cutters. I pop it in a pot on these little cotton pads, and what's useful with that is you can use these cotton pads to oil the bottom of cutters like these. Now what I also do with this one, just get that back in place, is I just pop that there and let that run around the glass where this cutting head, it's not good English, is it? There we go. Just rub that round a couple of times. So I've actually oiled my glass around the perimeter of where I'm going to cut. So this is tightened, this is all tight down. What I'm going to do now is stand up, because I find it easier to get even pressure on here. Make sure that you've got a good grip on that, and when you run round here you want a nice even run around your cut, and when you come back to where you started you want to stop. You don't want to go round again because that's going to blunt your cutting head. So it doesn't matter whichever way you go. I'm going to go anti-clockwise actually. You can hear I got back to the point that I started from. So that was a nice cut all the way round. I'm not sure you can see the score. Let's have a look. I'm not sure if you can pick that up, but it is, as you can see, just there. So I'm now going to put some release scores on here, and I'm just going to go within 1 millimetre or so of this cut. If I can see where it is. It's the thing when you put oil on here, it's kind of makes these cuts invisible. So those scores there and up here will allow me to make sure that that will release. Now if you want to, you can also, if you've got space that you've done it, you can put scores this side as well. So on all 4 edges, there we go. And what I'm then going to do is you can either turn it over and give it a press. Now what I actually find is if I use this paper, it's really quite useful. So this is the paper that the glass comes in when I order it, and you can find quite often that when you press on this, oh there we go, you don't need to bang it, and just give it a press. That's going to break the score. Obviously wasn't as pressured on this side when I did it. There we are. You can see it's run off where those scores are. If it hasn't gone all the way round, then you can use your Grosing pliers. So I'm just going to turn this over. That's actually very loose. There we go. Oh, that one came off of its own accord. Just going to pull that one. There we go. And I'm going to pull that one. So there we go. Nice and easy. Nice big circle. Perfect. So that's the Silbersmith large circle cutter from 7 centimetres to 61 centimetres. And again, if you are thinking of investing in that, it's really well worth it, because you know, if you cut a lot of circles, and we do for workshops, this is a good thing to have. Generally, I think I've not had any issues with any circles that I've cut with that. It's been well worth investing in. So I hope you found that useful. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks. Bye.